It is not just Senator Kyl, Republican, who has questions and criticism of your climate change bill. Jay Rockefeller, a more liberal Democrat from the state of West Virginia, a coal-producing state, says your legislation is a disappointing step in the wrong direction. He says the auto industry simply can't get there, the emissions, and he says the coal industry, the energy industry simply can't get there. He says too much, too fast, and it would hurt, not help.
Jay's from a coal state, and the coal industry is against us. But I have to say, when I hear my colleague, Senator Kyl, it's so much the party of no. They were no on the stimulus. USA Today said if we didn't do the stimulus, if we hadn't done that, we'd be in a total catastrophe. If we hadn't eased the credit between the banks. We have a can-do president. And you know, if you read books about what happened during the Great Depression, and thank the Lord we're not in a Great Depression, we could have been, but we, I think, stepped back from that. What the people want is for you to try. And when I have venture capitalists telling me they're ready to pour multi-billions of dollars into clean energy to get us away from this $1 billion a day exporting our dollars to foreign oil, I think they ought to be listened to. And one of the biggest tax cuts was in the stimulus. We gave a tax break right into the pockets of working people. And my friend voted against that. It's the party of no. The same answers, give breaks to the wealthy. It doesn't work.
Well, let me see if I get a yes or no out of you.
That's always
the health care bill coming out of the Finance Committee, it's not done yet, but the version the Finance Committee will act on does not contain a public option. Would you support legislation in the end that does not? If the votes aren't there, would you say, I will take 70% of a loaf instead of walking away? Or would you say, no, that's so fundamental, I'll walk away from this?
What's fundamental to me is a way to bend that cost curve and keep the insurance companies honest. John, they've made profits increase 400% over the last several years. The average CEO makes $15 million a year, while people are struggling. And here's the deal. When my friend John talks about, the other John, talks about taxes, the biggest tax now is what you're paying for your health care. We know by 2016, the average family is going to be paying close to 50% of their income for health care premiums. It's a tax, it's a cost we can't sustain. My vote will depend on the entire bill, and if there's no way to bend the cost curve and help people who have insurance, in addition to those who don't, I'll vote no, but I'm very hopeful. There are very many ways to do this. Maria Cantwell had a public option.
Let me jump in. We're about to run out of time. Let me jump in. Senator Kyl, I want to give you the last word in this debate. You don't like the bill in the Finance Committee. You endured the hours of the hearings. You were there for most of them. You offered, on the floor, when this gets to the floor, Governor Jindal, the Republican governor of Louisiana, said this week, it's time for Republicans to pivot and don't just say what we're against, to be more open about pushing what you're for. What is the challenge for Republicans on the floor of the Senate and continuing on in the health care debate? Is it just to block what the president wants, or will you put something up?
We've been putting things up in the committee, and the other party of no, the Democrat Party, voted no on every one of our amendments. And, you know, we started with medical malpractice. Almost everybody agrees that we could save between $100 billion and $200 billion if we had effective medical malpractice reform. Of course, the other party said no to our amendment. The biggest tax of all, according to the Congressional Budget Office, would be the taxes imposed in the health care bill in the Finance Committee. As they pointed out, all of the taxes that are imposed, both on individuals directly, as well as on the providers of health care and the insurers of health care, are passed on to the employees who have it and to the people who buy the policies through premium increases. So if you're concerned about paying too much for health care, then don't support the bill that came out of the Finance Committee, because it represents a huge increase both in taxes and premiums on Americans, and for seniors, a $500 billion cut in Medicare. And of course, seniors are rightly to be very concerned about that.
We will talk more about this as it reaches the floor. I assure you we're out of time on this day. Senator Jon Kyl of Arizona, Senator Barbara Boxer of California, thank you both for coming in this morning.